And now a word, the man of the hour, Mr. Heide. What do you have to say?
Lower.
I can't. It's as low as I can go. What is your topic going to be about?
Well, this first one, we are going to... No, come back in here. Yeah, you have a prettier face than I do. This first one, I kind of wanted to talk about my experiences as in selling cars. Come back here. My experiences in selling cars. And, I'm not affiliated. I left the business, not affiliated with it. I did have some very good experiences, and there are a few things that happened that really left a bad taste in my mouth. One of... What? Hey, come on. We got to move it over.
I'm trying to work here, dude.
Okay. One of the biggest things is you really, really need to trust your salesperson. You've got to be very comfortable that they're not going to screw you over, they're not going to steer you wrong. And one of the myths out there is that all car salespeople are crooks, and that's not true. There's a select few that's really, really screwed it up for everybody else. I did have several times where I refused to sell a vehicle to a customer because it was, we keep drifting past.
I get room to bloom.
I know. Because, I knew some of the things about the vehicle that they were interested in, and I could not in good conscience sell that vehicle to this person and live with myself. And, so there are some very, very, very good, very honest salespeople. Some of the things I would tell you is that one of the philosophies with car sales is they want to get you on that emotional high. I mean, you've just driven this beautiful new vehicle. It's just, you're on an adrenaline rush, because, you've driven that old thing and all of a sudden you got this shiny new car. So they want to keep you on that high, and they want to sell to you on that high. One of the things with car sales is they're trying to sell you on emotion. And, one of the things I would recommend is, if you feel like you're getting screwed over, if you feel like they're being very, very high pressure, don't be afraid to walk. They'll tell you, well, this deal might not be here tomorrow. Well, if it isn't, you can always find another great deal. And also, don't be afraid to think about it overnight, because like I said, they're trying to get you to they're trying to catch you at that emotional high. And sorry, I'm looking at my notes. They're trying to catch you on that emotional high. And a lot of times, if people think about it overnight, they will talk themselves out of it, or realize that maybe it isn't as good a deal as they thought. So don't hesitate. I heard stories about dealerships that people would say, "Oh, we want to go to dinner and think about it," and the dealership would have dinner brought to these people because they didn't want them to leave. They didn't want them to get buyer's remorse while they had left the dealership and talked themselves out of it. One of the things with financing, it used to be years and years ago that dealerships would give you a discount if you paid cash. And usually there's a lot of ways that they can make a profit. They'll sell you aftermarket extended warranties, and stuff like that. I'm not saying that those are a bad thing, because in some instances they're very, very good. But that's one of the things when you do the financing right there, is that they can kind of pressure you into it. Another thing that I have heard of dealerships doing is that when you go through financing with them, let's say you get, usually dealerships will send out send out your credit app to finance companies. And that's one of the things too, is make sure they're not going to just shotgun it out there to everybody. The dealership I worked at, I was really, really impressed because they would only send the credit apps, or they would only apply at lending institutions where they felt like they had the best chance. Because, you know, if your app gets shot out there to 20 different banks, your credit's going to take such a big hit.
What, can you explain to them what that means by that?
What do you mean?
People don't realize that.
Oh, when you fill out a credit app, what the dealerships will do is they will acquire funding for you through these banks. And actually, in some ways, it is very good because...
No, I meant that about your credit taking a hit because of all the credit checks.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And
because most people don't realize that.
Yeah. And one of the things too is you know, a lot of times the dealership can get you a better rate. I did see it several times where people would say, well, I'm going to go to my bank and, you know, they might get a decent interest rate. And then we would go to their bank and get them a better interest rate because, you know, we might send them 15, 20 accounts a month, new accounts every month, and they were just one account for this bank. So a lot of times we could get them a better rate. But then also there are some dealerships where you may get approved from the bank at 5%, and then they will sign you at 6%. And that's a way for the dealerships to make profit. So make sure you know your numbers. Also on new vehicles, one of the misconceptions is that, and I heard this a lot, well, I can go down to, you know, a more metropolitan area and I can get a much better price. And I had people that said they're going to go to Detroit and buy the car there because there's going to be less transportation fees. Well, whether the car is delivered across the street from the factory or delivered to Hawaii, most car companies have exactly the same transportation fee. And, you know, instead of having the dealerships way across the country really socking it to them, they kind of distribute that equitably. Another thing too is with your trade, make sure and clean it up as best as possible. You know, the job of whoever does your trade is they're trying to devalue it as much as possible. So you need to make sure it looks as good as possible. One of the things is if you're a smoker, a lot of dealerships will deduct hard because of the smoke smell, because that smoke smell is very, very hard to get out of vehicles, especially the ones with cloth interior. But, you know, make sure your trade, make sure that everything is polished up and perfect and looks good, you know, because there's sometimes, you know, I would look at a trade and you know, the person lived in this vehicle and it just, you know, it may have run well, it may clean up nice, but also the dealerships, when they clean up a trade to put it out on their lot, that costs them money. So if you get your trade looking as best as you can, and then if you do have records, you know, have those available where you can tell them, well, yeah, this is where I've had the oil changed every 3,000. I think most of the new vehicles are recommending them 5,000 mile oil changes. Or, you know, hey, I had to put new brakes in, I had to do this, I had to do that, and here's the records, here's where I paid for it, and this is what I did. Most dealerships will not pay. Oh, first off, let me back up a little bit. The two big guides out there are Kelley Blue Book, KBB, and NADA, and those are just guides. Those are not hard, steadfast rules. We moved from Wyoming, and up in Wyoming, four-wheel drives were at a premium. And it was kind of funny because even though, and I don't remember which one it was, even though it says enter your zip code for the more accurate price. I did a trade appraisal on I believe it was a Mustang, and I put the zip code is down here in Florida, and actually in Florida the Mustang was valued at the same price as in Wyoming in the middle of winter,
Wow.
and nobody's going to pay that much money for a rear-wheel drive car, no matter how cool it is in the middle of winter, because it's
not in Wyoming.
Not practical, yeah.
No.
And and also in Wyoming, another thing we ran into was two-wheel drive pickups are just almost impossible to sell up there. And in the 4 years I worked at the dealership, I think I only saw 3 two-wheel drive pickups.
Yeah.
And
like here, you see them all over here in Florida.
But because you don't have to worry about the snow and all of that. So that's one of the things is NADA and KBB are just guides.
Now what about the Carfax?
Hard and fast rules.
Everybody talks about that.
Carfax, yes. Carfax, when you're looking at a pre-owned vehicle, know the history.
But I mean, is there there's other ones besides Carfax?
Yeah, there's AutoCheck is one that we used to use, and and Carfax is one of the things is with Carfax, it will only show reported incidences. If somebody got into a wreck,
like police reports and such.
Through insurance mainly.
Through insurance, okay.
Yeah, so if somebody gets into a wreck and they do all the repair work themselves, that won't be listed on Carfax or AutoCheck. I did have a person that traded in a vehicle, and this vehicle was absolutely immaculate. We pulled an AutoCheck on it, and it had a clean AutoCheck. And when she was in signing the paperwork, she said, yeah, you couldn't tell that had $18,000 worth of hail damage. And my boss just about flipped a biscuit right there.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, they don't report anything or everything.
Sure.
But some of the things you need to worry about is like, was it in a flood? Or has it been, I had one gentleman that bought a truck from another car lot, and they did not provide him a Carfax when he bought this truck. And they told him that the truck was a 4-wheel drive. It was actually a rear-wheel drive. And they also did not tell him that it had 3 accidents, 2 major and 1 minor. And he ended up paying about $10,000 more for this truck than he should have.
Wow.
So that particular dealership really screwed him over. The dealership I worked for was I felt like they were one of the most honest in the region, and I really enjoyed working for them. One of the things too is, when you see these, we used to call it in the business, or we called it in the business, a carny sale. It's when they bring in these traveling salespeople, and a lot of times you'll see we guarantee $3,000 for your trade, or a push pull or drag. If you can get it in here, we'll give you $3,000 or whatever. Most of the time what happens on those is they will, about 2 weeks before the sale, they will jack up the price of the vehicle by $4,000 and then give you $3,000 trade. So they're actually making $1,000 more profit than they would have. And then with a lot of these carny salesmen is they will promise you anything. They
bring in people from all over the country called the professional.
Yeah, and they're just there. They're going to make a buck. They're never going to see you again.
They don't care. Yeah.
And we did 2 carny sales when I was there, and after the second one, my boss said never again. And because we'd have these carnies in, they would promise the customers the world, and then they left town, and we would end up having to fix the screw-ups that these carnies did.
Yeah.
So if they do have one of these sales, deal with your local people. Yeah. And a lot of times you'd be better off to wait till after the carny sale is over with.
And that's another thing with going out of town. is when you're dealing with your local people, they're the same people you're going to see in the grocery store, at church, wherever. So they care.
Yeah.
But if you're going out of town to a great big, big city or whatever, a lot of times they don't care. They're never going to see you again.
Yep. There was a dealership that shall remain nameless in another state, and they promised all these phenomenal prices, and they would say, "Oh yeah, we're going to give you X amount for your trade, and we're going to give you our new vehicle at this price," and then you'd drive 10 hours to get there, and all of a sudden, oh no, your trade isn't worth that. It's worth much less. And then when we told you this price, we forgot to add in all the extras. So, and I had several people that they went to this other dealership, and they were embarrassed to tell me that they bought a vehicle there, that they could have got a better deal where through me, but they were too embarrassed. They end up paying through the nose. So it's not necessary going out of town. At least with these people, the local people. You'll see them and you can make their life miserable. So I think I covered just about everything I really wanted to.
One thing I wanted to say, though, too, is I know everybody gets very frustrated and you see all the TV shows and stuff, but treating your car salesperson disrespectfully, you want them to treat you with respect. But don't treat your car salesperson or anybody basically who's any kind of retail job or anything like, disrespectfully, mean, nasty, brat. Had people cuss at him, yell at him, everything else. There's no need for that.
Yeah.
And
usually that salesperson is, that salesperson's just the middleman.
Yeah.
And
they can't change the numbers. They can't make miracles happen.
Yeah. But then, like I said, don't be afraid to walk. Don't be afraid to take an extra day or two. And, one of the lines, so it might be gone, this deal is only good for today. And they're trying to get that sense of urgency to get you to buy now. So, don't hesitate. Do it on your own terms. So, anything else, sweetie?
No, if anybody has any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments, and Brad will answer what he can. If there's a question he can't answer, because either he doesn't know or it's just not something he could really talk about, he won't bring it up next week, but next Sunday night, unless he would be at work or something. But go ahead and leave your questions or whatever,
And then next Sunday, I spent 34 years in a grocery store.
Oh, I thought you were doing that tonight.
Well, we don't want to overload them. Or we can do it after this one.
Well, because I don't usually keep my stuff on file.
Oh, okay.
Is the thing.
Okay. So.
You're getting a 2-for-1 tonight. You're getting another video tonight.
So.
You're going to do a video on grocery stores.
Yeah. So, shall we wind this up?
Oh, yeah. You can shut it off.
Okay. So, thank you for listening. And like Teresa said, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. So, we will talk with you later. Say bye, Teresa.
Bye.
How do I shut this thing off?
Just right there.